stream on some nights, and then I sit around and I'm like, of course I'm going to stream. Why am I even pretending like I'm not? So I give everybody a few minutes to come in the room, see how many folks we can get. Cheers to everyone. Hope everyone has had a good Friday, all things considered, considering where we are in everything, life, COVID. Richard said he's first. They're first. Welcome, Richard. Glad to have you here. Hello to everyone coming. Nelson, I see you, man. We are streaming always, Carrie. Good evening. Good evening, Mary. Good evening, Nicole. Good evening, Robin. Happy Friday, Angie. Hello to everybody. I'm not going to do, normally I share this video on a lot of platforms to get, the spread, because we talk about politics first and foremost. I'm not going to share on all my platforms, but I'm still going to encourage you to share, because it's just kind of like, it's Friday night. Cheers from the PDX. Kayla, I see you. Appreciate that wing attack. Miriam, hello. Melissa, what up, Jamal? I see you. Nicole Johnson. Hey, Rian. Now, all jokes aside, Rian Dusud, I'm sure I pronounced it wrong, but she's been rocking with us for a minute here, and I really should have asked her how to pronounce her name by now, but it's all love. I'm here, you're here, we're here. I see you, Andy. Susan from South Jersey. Shannon, what it do? Jean L is in the house. Adrian, what's going on, my friend? We're up to like 479. It's a lazy Friday afternoon. I'm not gonna, Friday evening. Guy Shaw's in the house. Hey, Missy, Miss High. Miss I. Is it Miss, do you spell it like that so somebody can pronounce it Miss High? Like, anyway, it's late. Thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate you guys supporting what we do. Megan. Steel Reserve. I heard about it, and I didn't see all of them, but just watching the first two texts, I was like, wow, this sounds like a guy who really loves his son. Awesome, awesome. Everybody share. Oh, shoot, I didn't even have my phone out here. I'm not going to be able to do anything without my phone. We'll figure it out. I'm going to go ahead and use the browser to share maybe the 1 or 2 pages. Leave your comments. We'll get your comments on the screen. I want to talk about something specific tonight that is political, that does deal with our current politics of the day, has everything, everything is political. Let's start there. Everything is political. Nothing in life is not political. From something as mundane as the distance between the dashes on the road, the yellow dashes or the white dashes, depending on where you're driving, from something as mundane to that, all the way to your ability to choose to do what women choose to do with their body. Everything is political. And so from that aspect, no matter what I talk about on this show, there's always going to be a political component. And the truth is that the reason I talk about it is that I feel like our politics are very constrained, constraining, and myopic. Not I know. Without a shadow of a doubt, our politics are myopic. That said, part of the reason they've been able to get away with this myopic style of politics is because I feel like what I'm going to talk about tonight will help people to understand better why the ruling elite in this country have been able to get away with so much for so long. Not just this country, but across the planet. It's something interesting about history. Throughout history, at least recorded history, as we study it, even the history that they feed us in schools, it's a succession of ambitious and violent men seeking power, sometimes glory, but always power. And that power has always come at the expense of the masses. And so what we have throughout history is a pyramid scheme, an economic and political power pyramid scheme, where the masses are at the bottom of the hierarchy, and at the top you have the ambitious, violent men, overwhelmingly, predominantly men, very few exceptions, notable exceptions. What we've told ourselves about this history is that hierarchy of rulers, conquerors, kings, the nobility, the robber barons, the capitalists, the tech CEOs, what we've told ourselves about this hierarchy through history is that those people are special. We're consistently told the theme that the reason those people are at the top is because they're special. They had a certain trait about them. They took risk. They worked hard. We had a whole season of books written about this. 12 habits of a CEO, right? 12 habits of a successful entrepreneur. And we created this mythos around these ambitious, violent in their own way. The violence is merely different now. They don't have to take, bats and whatever weapon they can grab their hands on. They don't have to take that and hit people across the head anymore. They don't have to take their bow and arrows and see who can kill the most people anymore. They don't have to take their cannons. They don't have to use their swords. They don't have to use their AK-47s anymore. Now, America does in general. We still control and dominate the global stage as an empire, but I'm talking about individuals. I'm not really talking about states and countries so much as individuals. The way individuals dominate society with their violence as it is today is through economic power. But still, regardless of how they conquered, regardless of their conquests, throughout history, it's the consistent narrative of these people are victorious because there was something special about them. They took some risk. They were born into some noble line. They were whatever. And consistently throughout history, you see the hierarchy, the pyramid scheme of how we organize society, where the uber elite, the wealthiest, the richest, they are at the top of society. And that position in society is only sustained by the base of the triangle, the base of the pyramid, right? Which is all of us, you and me. The reality of it is that there's not a damn thing special about any person in history that isn't special about all of us. And I know I'm kind of breezing past that, but I would say honestly, that's the grand thesis of my life. I don't believe that anyone is inherently more special than the next person. The pyramid scheme has us thinking that the way things work in society and the way things should work in society and the way society should be built and structured and maintained is by the unwashed masses doing all of the necessary work to create the society and sustain the society for each upper echelon, ultimately leading to the ruling elite at the very top of that hierarchy. That's the way it's been organized. I mean, just take a gander through history. It literally is a succession of strong men. Strong men. Then we have the Enlightenment, and we had the French Revolution, and we had or vice versa, the American Revolution, French, and we have a shift to where now it becomes more centered around the idea of democracy. But even the ambitious, violent men found a way to work and circumvent democracy by buying democracy through our politicians. And now we still have a society that's organized like a pyramid scheme, where the rich and the uber successful elite, politician, billionaire, tech industry gurus, and all these people, they're at the top of the pyramid, and the rest of us are down here with the unwashed masses. And the same fictitious narrative persists to this day, that Mark Zuckerberg is where he is because he did something special, or there was something uniquely special about him that no one else could do. And if it wasn't for Mark Zuckerberg being a risk taker, then we wouldn't have this tech giant called Facebook that happens to only sustain itself by you and I giving them our data on a constant basis and participating on those platforms on a constant basis. But no, Mark Zuckerberg, he's a special person. And because he's special, he deserves billions of dollars that he earns off of our participation on his website. I like this one, JP. How about 12 ways how not to elect a liar and a con artist? Somebody needs to write that book. I am just reading some of y'all comments. John Batista says, my career, Y-O-U-R, not Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, is made by dividing. Funny. Infinite content. Infinite content has been, how many times has the abuses of the elite turned into revolts and revolutions? See Spartacus, the Malmux, etc. Actually, that's where I'm going with this. The inevitable turn of events that happens when society is ordered that way, it always ends in violence. It always ends in revolution. It always ends with some destabilizing moment in history to a greater or lesser extent. Some puts us in a period of dark ages. And that's because we never learned a lesson. Society is still testing the same lesson over and over, failing the same test over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. And we're just trying it in different iterations, trying to see if we can consistently get away with organizing society where the elite are at the top and everyone else at the bottom, who literally are you don't have a pyramid without the base. You simply do not have a pyramid without the base. So it's completely impossible for the elite, rhetorically, logically, and practically, rather literally, it is completely impossible for for an elite to exist. It is completely impossible for elite to exist without the base. And what always happens throughout history, you can take every single empire, every single kingdom, every single period in history. You have a ruling elite that eventually and inevitably abuses their power, abuses their authority, and ultimately abuses the bottom of their society, the base, and it inevitably leads to war. Inevitably. What's happening today is far more insidious than just the outright open abuses. What happens today is that the ruling elite actually did learn a lesson. They didn't learn the lesson that they needed to learn. A lesson that they learned was that they have to be far more sophisticated in how they get us to comply, how they get us to go along with it, how they get us to maintain this system. And I think the way that they maintain their order today is far more difficult to even realize than before. And this is why we've had such a sustained period in terms of quote unquote peace, or when I'm defining peace as no outright revolution against the system. The way they keep us maintained today is because of what we're doing now. Entertainment, social media. More insidious than that, it's not just the entertainment and social media in and of itself, but it's the fact that our entertainment and social media is used to sell us the visions and the idea that one day we will be elite, that we will be rich, that we will be famous. And so long as we can hold on to the dream of that one day we will be the person that is at the top of that pyramid. And that's why it's a scheme, a pyramid scheme, because all they're selling us is the idea that one day we will rise to the top of that pyramid, when in reality, you're not. I'm not. We're not. Because what they tell you is that America and our system is a meritocracy, and the way Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos got there was through hard work and determination. They took two wooden nickels and they rubbed it together, and voila. And if they did it, you should be able to do it too. They didn't tell you about the fact that they all had startup capital, that Jeff Bezos' parents gave him a loan of a check of $300,000 to start Amazon. Right? So they give us these apocryphal stories, and they leave out the most important information, which was these individuals who did these great things. One, they had capital to start with. All right. Two, they had their basic needs already met. So they didn't have to worry about paying their rent, and created this Amazon, this monstrosity called Amazon. Not only did he have his basic needs met, but he had capital so that all he had to do was sit back and create. But they've got you convinced that what really happened was that he was such a hard worker. He worked 9 to 5 at a regular job, making $15 an hour. And at night he went home and started Amazon in his garage. No, he was already wealthy. He already had his basic needs met. In addition to that, and in addition to having his basic needs met, he was able to get access to capital to actually make some investments into a company. Nothing is built in this system that we currently have. Nothing is built without money. But they have the rest of us buying into this pipe dream that all we have to do is work a little harder. And if we work a little harder, then we too can become the next Jeff Bezos and build our empire. And the allure of that dream has become so intoxicating that it has lulled to sleep hundreds of millions, or dare I say even billions of people who are comfortably asleep, dreaming the pipe dream that if they just work a little bit harder, they can move up from poverty and living paycheck to paycheck and making less than $15 an hour. And they too can become a part of America's elite if they just work hard enough. When you realize that what you've been participating in all this time is one big sham and one big scam, and it's not for nothing. Oh no, it's not that you're running in circles for nothing. It's that they have become, the ruling elite, the billionaires, the oligarchs, those who run this country both economically and politically, they have become masters of generating obscene amounts of wealth through your delusions, through your pipe dreams, through your aspirations to become like them, even though you're waiting tables at Denny's at 2 a.m. They've become masters because the harder you work, the more they get. They get through your labor. Come on, you should be able to list these by now. They generate wealth off your labor. They generate wealth off your participation, just being here, viewing this content, the exchange of data. Your participation generates wealth. They generate wealth off your consumption. So when you go out and you're working and you get off the clock, you go and eat something, their money, boom, goes right back to them. So they're getting you coming and going. So it's not that you're spinning your wheels for nothing. As you spin your wheels and get nowhere, you are an engine of economic production. You just spinning your wheels. You're not getting anywhere. Oh, but your boss is. Well, really, his boss is. You're not getting anywhere, but you're creating some activity. You're generating some wealth. You're on that hamster wheel, creating that wealth. You're not getting anywhere, but every single thing that you do is creating wealth for the system, even if you're a dead ass broke. You're not getting anywhere. But the economic system is. The billionaires and the millionaires, they most certainly are. I like this comment from Little Flowers. This gig would be up if poor white Americans weren't so racist. Just think about that. They have sold us a dream that is vivid enough to make us think that one day we'll become billionaires. And therein lies the reason we haven't overthrown this system like previous revolutions have overthrown their system. Or sometimes it was one greedy person at the top against another greedy person at the top, ultimately destroying the entire royalty, the entire nobility, right? Changing the system. But they have an agreement amongst themselves now. They have found a way that they all can have their own little fiefdoms. They all can have their own little kingdoms. They all can become venerated worship lords, not warlords, tech lords. CEOs, their own little fiefdom, their own little kingdom, their own servants. So we've satisfied the urge for them to go to war with each other, and they have now coordinated just a handful of them. Well, shit, maybe 500 at most across the entire globe. But they have given us a dream that is vivid enough for us to actually think that we are going to win through this system if we just work harder, knowing that, no, you're not going to win. You're just going to keep spinning your wheels, keep spinning your wheels, keep spinning your wheels. You're not getting anywhere. But the very act of you running on that hamster wheel, waking up every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting dressed in some clothes that you purchased from them, getting in a vehicle, in a car that you purchased or rent or leased from them, or getting on public transportations that your taxpayers' dollar pays for, right? Going back to them, going to a job to generate wealth for them, eating at a restaurant, at a fast food joint, killing yourself as you eat that junk, but sending your money to them. You're on this hamster wheel. We're just through lunch. We haven't even gotten to the good part of the day, right? You go back to work and you slave and you generate money for them, right? If you have a breakthrough on the job, oh, by the way, we own that. Thank you for signing this contract at the beginning of your career with us for them, right? You get back in your car, you go pick up your kids from a school who has another person there who is spinning their wheels, and that money is not really going to that child care provider, but it's going back to them. Right? Then you go home, take out your groceries that are all coming from some big box store. Your dollars are going to them. You watch TV. Your participation watching TV generates ad revenue for them. You go to sleep in a bed that you purchased from them, and you wake up and do it all over again for them. And at the end of the month, at the end of the year, what do most of us have to show for it? Nothing. What do they have to show for it? Everything. Where the hell did they get it from? You. But the reason we collectively haven't understood this or accepted this is because they've got all of us thinking one day we're going to be one of them. So we need to protect this system, because if we don't protect this system, then how could we ever become one of them? The other way is just some dumb racist hicks. We're not even hicks. It's still a racist. I don't care where you're from. People caught in that other vice. They sabotage their own economic benefit because they prefer their racism to their economic freedom. For them, everything goes to them. Which brings me to the thing I really wanted to talk about. So just like this system is a perverted pyramid scheme where billions of people, if you talk about globally, are all living in a vicious cycle on a hamster wheel, spinning on that hamster wheel. We get nowhere, but the people are constantly, the system just constantly draining. You going in that circle every single day is generating wealth for them, but you get nothing. Neither do billions of people across this globe. We all end up with nothing. Why? Because they took it. Because they have every incentive. Here's how they take it, right? They take it because they have every incentive to pay you as little as they possibly can get away with. And if they can't get away with it, then they just buy some politicians to help them get away with it. That's why waitresses and waiters get maybe $2 an hour. And then they ship the burden from the company, from the restaurant, to the consumer. So the restaurant owner gets away with murder. The consumer picks up the tab. And the waitress, if she has a bad day or gets a bad customer, ends up going home with $2 an hour. So if they can't get away with paying you as little as they possibly can, they just buy politicians and then rewrite the laws or enact a 30-year plan to a 40-year plan to take over the courts so that they could put somebody like Amy Coney Barrett on there who's going to help do away with a lot of the labor laws. But I digress. We're not going to talk politics tonight. So, just like our society is this perverted pyramid scheme that has so many billions of people rendered docile because we believe that this system is going to one day, we're going to be able to work hard enough and become a part of the elite. The reality about the elite is that there's absolutely, literally nothing whatsoever special about them above and beyond the ordinary human. Nothing. The only difference is that they had a certain level of need already met. They didn't have to worry about working 15 hours a day for $15 an hour. They had those needs. They didn't have to worry about where they were going to sleep. They want you to believe in this country that you can go from homelessness to becoming a billionaire if you just work hard enough. When literally every billionaire, with maybe one exception, the very exploitive Tyler Perry, who at one time was homeless, but he practiced the very best exploitative policies he possibly could. I mean, the man is worth $1 billion now, and he doesn't even want to have a writer room for people to write and help him write something better than The Oval or Sisters. But I digress. This is not going to be an anti-Tyler Perry hour because I like him other than that. Not really. I like Medea. They actually want you to think that you can go from homelessness to being a billionaire. And they keep telling us that lie. And that lie is enshrined in our politics. That lie is actually the lie that is told by both political parties. That's why I'm not sharing this video, because bad news is that this actually strikes both parties. We got to get rid of Donald Trump, so make sure you vote for Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, both parties buy into the lie that if you just work hard enough, Jimmy, if you just work hard enough, Garrison, if you just work hard enough, Corey, Kurt, Della, I'm calling out real names. If you just work hard enough, you can make your way from living paycheck to paycheck to the lifestyles of the rich and famous. But the reality of this pyramid scheme is, like I said, there's a very few people at the top that would not be there without every single one of us at the bottom. It's simply not possible to have the top of a pyramid without the base of the pyramid. There's nothing special about a single billionaire on the face of this planet. Nothing. Nothing inherently special. They don't have a DNA or a biology or a physicality that actually makes them different. They just had their needs met and capital to invest. And a basic bum-ass idea that pretty much they either stole from somebody else like Mark Zuckerberg, or they just modernized an old idea like Jeff Bezos and had enough capital to actually make it work. That said, my argument is, my contention is that even these bum-ass trolls who are in the chat rooms, they too are just as special as every single billionaire who they want us to worship and think one day I'll be like them. No, you're already like them. You just don't have your basic needs met. And you just don't have access to capital because we still live in a capitalistic system where everybody needs money to get shit done. Period. I'm gonna tell you, I knew I brought this out here for some reason. I wasn't really sure why I brought this out here. I work for a company called HubSpot. I wasn't special there. I was just the tech support guy, and then I moved up to the marketing consulting department. Great company. Let me start by saying this. They sell marketing software. So it's not a product that you can go buy. It's hell of expensive. So I'm not advertising for them. Haven't been with them for years. But I cracked this bottle open tonight because I haven't gone to the liquor store. And we got these bottles of champagne the day that we all went public. We all went public. Obviously, to a greater or lesser extent, I was with the company. We all got these little bottles. And I was like, I just said, I'm going to open this up tonight because I don't have any other alcohol in the house except for one bottle of rosé that me and my wife have been holding on to for 10 years because we took it. I'm telling y'all everything. We took the bottle of rosé that was a gift from somebody I did a favor for. I helped them out and helped them grow their business. And they sent me a bottle of rosé. The same weekend I got the bottle of rosé was a weekend that we did, like, it was a precursor to Airbnb. It was this long ago. It was a precursor to Airbnb. And we stayed in this house that was magnificent. It was beautiful. I mean, it was only like 5 bedrooms, but that was like the biggest house that we'd ever fucking been in. And we were like, we got to get this. We have to live here one day. And so we took a picture of the house, printed it out, and we wrapped it. This is we had a religious faith moment wrapping it around a bottle of rosé. If that's not the quintessential Ben Dixon, I don't know what is. Like, I'll do something that's spiritual, but like, I'm going to walk in faith. I'm going to take a picture of this house and I'm going to wrap it and I'm going to keep it in front of us and we're going to always focus on it. But by the way, it's wrapped around a bottle of alcohol. So anyway, that bottle's on top of the refrigerator and we haven't bought a house yet. So when we do buy a house, I'm gonna pop that bottle with you guys and we'll tear that picture off and there you go. I opened up this one though. I've been holding on to this one for about 5 years. I've had this for 5 years. Just cracked it open. Wasn't sure why, but I said, let me crack it open tonight. Now I know why I cracked this open tonight. This is a great company. I went public with them, made a little coin, little change, nothing special, right? Here's the funny story about them. I don't have anything bad to say about them. In fact, if you are a company and you need some marketing software, I actually recommend them. But they will tell you this story themselves. They will literally tell you this story themselves. I want to demonstrate it because it makes a point. They had their first round of funding before they had a goddamn idea. Okay? Their A series of funding came around and they got multiple millions of dollars. I forgot the amount. I think for some reason 20 million is in my head. They had their first round of funding before they got their first fucking idea. And I love them for it because it was a blessing to me. But what I'm saying is there's nothing special about all of these people who are billionaires. It's the fact that they had money and had access to money and that they were given money by their parents like Jeff Bezos, or they stole an idea and got some money given to them like Mark Zuckerberg, or they just had a really good salesperson who had really good relationships and said, I'm going to build something. Don't really know what it is yet, but if you give me $20 million, me and my partner will sit down and figure that shit out. And yeah, they did. They got the first round of money without any funding. Don't tell me that there's a single millionaire in this country, billionaire, multimillionaire, or billionaire in this country that is special. The only thing that's special about them is that they have money already and you don't. And while you are spinning your wheels on that hamster wheel, generating money for everybody but yourself, they just go to the markets. They just go to the venture capitalists. They just go to mommy. They just go to their rich uncle and they get the money that they need to start a company, and they tell you this apocryphal story that they worked really hard when in reality somebody wrote them a goddamn check. Not mad at them. Game recognized game. Shout out to HubSpot. Awesome company. And again, I don't have anything bad to say about them. It was literally the best corporate experience that I ever had in my life, but they got their first round of funding without a fucking idea. Okay. And this small ass bottle is gone. I'm sad. I'm sad. Here's what. No, I'm not ready to go to Maslow's yet. I'm getting to Maslow's hierarchy needs. Here's how our system is designed. It's going already, Nikki. Nikki, no, for real. I'm going to have to actually put on a mask and go into the package store. Because, I don't drink like that, like talking about, but like on Friday nights, every now and then, like it's a happy hour, even if it's a happy hour in your house. But anyway, I digress. Here's how our society is designed. Our society is designed where a handful of people are considered to be special, to be elite, and they're the ones who have the opportunity to do something great. Whatever they define that great thing is. Some of it is shitty, but some of it is great. Can I tell you something? And I'm not kissing their ass. I'm just telling you, when I worked at this place, the experience was fucking great. Excuse my language, Ma. I know you're watching. Maybe. But the experience was great. And I remember sitting around, because I was a socialist long before it was even popular to say that shit. I remember sitting around at HubSpot thinking, this is not a bad example of capitalism. We make our money off of other businesses. So we're not taking from poor people. We're literally robbing the shit out of rich people. Like, we were charging them motherfuckers. We were killing them. But we were robbing the rich. And everybody had a living wage. Everybody was making good money. And everybody was given the opportunity to be great. Like, it literally was designed for everybody to just go and do your best work and be your greatest and your best self. Loved it. But that's not the reality of 99.9% of our society. Most of our society is designed around paying you the lowest wage they could possibly get away with. And not really giving a shit about your self-actualization or your development or your growth. I just need you to churn out this widget. And if you talk too loudly, I'll get somebody else to churn out this widget for me. And we have designed an entire society that's based on paying workers as little as they possibly can while charging them as much as they possibly can for rent, for food, for clothing, for survival. And we've created the perfect society for a very few select people that everyone looks up to like, oh, they're so special, benefiting off of billions of people. Folks, of course, you absolutely know this is already written about for hundreds of years, right? There's plenty of theory about this. I just felt like talking about it from my own personal experience with it. Billions of people generating the wealth for them. And so here's our model. Very simply put, the model of our society is a handful of people who exploit billions. The handful of people at the top of the pyramid get a chance to be their greatest self, to explore everything that they possibly could ever want to be. They get to achieve the height of self-actualization and cocaine. Because there's a level of debauchery that goes along with it, but I digress. I'm not here for the moral side of the argument, but they get to excel, they get to achieve, they get to ascend, while billions are left running on that hamster wheel. And I'll tell you this, if there's any repudiation of Western civilization, it is the very idea that there are special people who are going to be the people who help take us into the future. Like there's a special elite group that these are the people that we should look at. And these are the type of people who do it. And this is the type of civilization. And this is how we should order the civilization because this is what they did at the height of the Enlightenment. The complete repudiation of that is the fact that not a single person, I'm sure there's some intellectual geniuses, but they're not, they don't stand alone. They're just the ones who are afforded the opportunity to explore their genius. And we have a society that would be more excited to have one Isaac Newton who was already born into a position where he could explore the genius that was in him versus an entire civilization of Isaac Newtons in their respective places. But instead of that, we have a civilization where one person who's afforded the opportunity to explore their greatness is venerated while everybody else is left to scramble and to survive on their own. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody want to bring me about? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Oh, man, I love this. Thank you, Stephanie Chateau, for bringing this to our attention. And Nikola Tesla is proof of this. He was a genius and got screwed in the end. Let me ask you a question for real this time. How much further along would humanity be if instead of depending on a handful of privileged elite to progress society, we depended on the collective greatness of billions of people to progress society? Hey, we got a raid. Who raided us? I'll let that marinate. Who raided us? Somebody put it in the chat room. Who raided us? Somebody actually thinks I'm drunk. This is champagne. This is like, God, please. I am. Thank you, JP. I'm chill, man. TYT rated us? Wait a minute. Hey, TYT. See, thank you guys. I was going to try to find a way to weave the narrative of TYT supporting me into this narrative, but it's a little counterintuitive to this because I did actually literally work my way out of obscurity. But now, check me out. Now that I've linked up and I'm hanging out with TYT, shout out to Jank, shout out to John, shout out to Anna, shout out to Brett, shout out to Brandon, Asher, and Ashwarya. Let's see, did I forget anybody that I've dealt with so far? Judith, and so many more. Shout out to everybody at TYT. Now that I'm kicking it with them, of course, they can help provide some of. See, capital in this game is totally different. Capital in this game is the fact that they just sent like 300 people over to the stream. Like, that's legit capital, okay? But now I have the ability to be propelled even further. You can't do anything in this country, in this society, without whatever capital is monetizable in your industry. I could tie anything to anything. It doesn't matter. I'm the MacGyver of tying ideas together. You give me a fucking toothpick and some scotch tape and I would tie it into the grand theory of everything. Guarantee you. Shout out to TYT. Thank y'all so much. Oh, JR. I forgot JR. Actually, you know what? Me and JR we're cool and we did work. We've support each other on Twitter a lot, but I don't think I've ever done any direct work with JR, to be quite honest with you. No, I don't think I have. But anyway, I digress. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, though. I believe JR is like one of the originals. Back to the point. The question that I asked you before we got rated. I want to ask it again. I think you've had enough time to let it marinate. And shout out to the 900 people who are kicking it with me as I just kind of meander my way through this small bottle and this previously recorded or previously documented theories, and I'm just talking, right? So I'm not trying to take credit for anything other than the fact that I'm bored on a Friday night and wanted to talk to you guys. But here's the question. How much further along would society be, would civilization be? Can you imagine where we would be if instead of depending on a system that depends on a very small subset of humanity who are very privileged, very elite, who then make some discovery that pushes civilization along, while billions of people toil away in not just obscurity, but in irrelevance. And it's not because they aren't as talented or as gifted or as genius no, it's not as though they are born with a different set of humanity and skills and DNA. They're literally born with the same makeup to greater or lesser extent in terms of natural intellectual capacity or prowess. But at the end of the day, the only thing special about the people at the top of this pyramid is the fact that they had their needs already met and they didn't have to spend their life toiling away simply trying to survive. And oh, look, on top of that, you get some money to do whatever it is that you could think of. You get money to sit around and come up with theories and work on these equations. Our society is inverted. There's literally no economic reason for us to be structured the way we are, because it is not a net benefit to the overall economy or to society to have a small subset of society, such a small fraction, less than 1%, who dominate everything both economically and politically, because all of the wealth and power runs through them. And so all of the opportunity to do anything great clearly is going to go through them or their contemporaries, while 7 billion people, the rest of us, toil away on that hamster wheel that I was telling you about. We're not getting anywhere on that hamster wheel, but literally everything we do on that hamster wheel generates wealth from them. What kind of society would we have if we turned this shit upside down? Invert that pyramid, where every single one of us has our basic needs met, so that we're not scrambling on some sociopathic hamster wheel, not even 9 to 5. Like at my worst, when I was working here, My first shift for them was overnight. I would work from 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning. And then I would take my kids to school. And then I would come back and do my podcast, YouTube show. And then I would get a couple hours of sleep and go pick up the kids, pick up the wife, cook dinner, and get it all started again the next day. Most of us are working so many hours and we get nothing to show for it whatsoever. We have literally nothing to show for it whatsoever. But you know who has something to show for our work, our labor? At the end of the month, you have nothing. Your landlord, your boss, your tax collector, the government, they have it. They benefited from your net input. You are a cog. You generated X amount of dollars with your labor today. All of it went. You were left with nothing. They got everything. But they didn't get everything. This is what's so sad about these short-sighted, myopic morons. The fact is that there is so much more wealth to be generated. They've just gotten satisfied with the fact that they can take everything from you. So they think. They got excited about at the end of the day, they had nothing left to take from you, so they started giving you debt. So now they got all of your cash, all of your labor, all your consumption, all your participation, all of your taxes, and now they also get interest off your debt. Sally Mae gonna have to hunt me down. Nah, I'm gonna pay her. I'm gonna pay her. I got a viral video this month, so I'm gonna pay her. She don't want me. She don't want to see me. She don't want this smoke. They are satisfied taking everything from you and giving you nothing. And it shows how short-sighted they are. Because wouldn't it just make sense that if we are able to create X amount of wealth, however many trillion we generate each year, we collectively together, every single one of us, we create X trillion in wealth. Wouldn't it make sense that that figure would grow, that X would grow by magnitudes of order if every individual cog in the machine, you, me, Azalea, Vanessa, Jason, Cody, Guy, Carol, L, if every single input had more, had enough, like didn't have to worry about their lights being cut off, and they actually had a few extra dollars left, what do you think they're going to do with those dollars? They're either going to spend it or invest it. They're going to spend it because it's only enough to spend, not really invest. But we're going to use the same principle that this economy says. The economists say that, oh, if we don't spend the money, then we're going to invest the money. We put it in the bank and the bankers invest it. So we're going to use the same principle, right? So wouldn't it just make more sense that if you can make X trillion off of all of us, and we got nothing left at the end of the month, wouldn't it just make sense that you can make even more? That X would grow if everybody had a baseline of living where we weren't running on an endless hamster wheel. Yeah, we're still on the hamster wheel somewhat, but we have something. And if we have something and we have our basic needs met, then not only will we consume more, generating them more wealth, but we would create more. We would do, they should be excited, they being the ruling elite, right? The oligarchs, those who make billions of dollars every single other day off of us. I want them to get excited. So the alternative is we burn this shit down, okay? So everybody already knows that's in the backdrop. And throughout history, I'm just on a sidebar, throughout history, this never ends well. This level of income inequality never ends well. This level of exploitation never ends well for the ruling elite, right? So that's the sidebar. We're going to package that up, throw that away, not throw it away. We're just going to put it on the satchel on our back, right? We're going to have the fun conversation with them first. And if they don't listen to this and everybody else who's been saying this for years, then, I mean, I would have warned them. Now, putting that aside, they should get excited about the idea that they would make even more money if little Johnny wasn't starving, if little Johnny wasn't homeless. But they're so sociopathic and lazy, by the way. That's the other thing. These are so lazy that they would rather take this money directly through subsidies and through tax breaks and through, direct handouts. They want to take it directly from the government versus it coming to you, and then they would have gotten it anyway. So not only are they sociopaths, but they're lazy. They want the easiest route to their dollars, which oftentimes is to take it directly from the government. The best way to illustrate this is with an example. 2007, 2008, 2009, the housing crisis, everybody loses their shirt. Everybody loses their homes except for the banks. The banks get the home. The government decides to bail out the banks. The government doesn't bail out the people. What do the banks get? They got the cash and the homes. If the government hadn't been run by greedy sociopaths, they would have said, well, guys, I'm going to do my Barack Obama voice on this because Barack Obama should have said this on our behalf. He said, well, guys, if we actually bail out the people, then the people are going to pay their mortgages. And so wouldn't it make sense if we just put the money into the hands of the people and let the people pay the banks? No, that makes too much sense, Barack Obama, because how else would the bank get the bailout and the houses? They're sociopathic, greedy monsters. They could have made their money, but they were lazy and they wanted more, and greed entered into the equation. I have to take my example back just a little. I think it illustrates the point that the money going to the people is ultimately going to cycle through the system. Like, that's the ultimate point. The money, whatever money the government gives the people, cycles through and goes to the banks and to the billionaires anyway, because we pay our bills. But I have to take it back because obviously the answer is the reason they don't want to do that is because they're greedy, because they can get more by taking everything we have and taking what the government gives them. But I wanted you to just get that one illustration that if the government gives the money to us, we inevitably are going to spend it. And if we don't spend it, well, we could tell them just like the banks always, like the corporations always tell us. Corporations say, well, if we don't make the investment, we're going to put it in the banks, and that's another form of investment. If we don't raise the wages for our workers, then we're just going to put it in the bank and we're going to invest it. So if we don't spend it, then we can invest it too. But they don't want us from us. They don't want that from us. What they want from us, very simply put, is for us to stay on that hamster wheel, churning away, toiling away at life. What the greater humanity misses, what we miss is the fact that instead of depending on a handful of tech bros to take us into the future, we could benefit from the collective contribution of billions of people who are able to go beyond subsistence living. But they don't want that, because that would dispense with the notion that they're actually special. And they won't be able to write that book, 12 Secrets to be the next Jeff Bezos. All right. 900 people in the room. I still have a little bit more. I haven't even gotten to the Maslow hierarchy of needs. But you already see. Here it is. JC said they want the investment on their behalf to be able to control it all. But we could have done it ourselves. Absolutely. Rich get richer, poor get poorer, more rich, more power, whatever. Yeah. This will always deserve to go on my screen. It's never out of context. I love this. I love this. Can we fund a vaccine for greed, please? I wish it were that easy. Going back to what Infinite Content said. Infinite Content is a user who's watching via YouTube. He was the first one to bring up in this conversation that we're having the cycle of destruction. I got on this entire conversation because I started with like the cycle in history, the constant model that we have not learned from. We haven't learned our lesson, folks. Strike that. Down here we have the ruling elite. They have it. And listen, I know I see a couple of comments. Can I just say something? And I know I don't have to, but I just want to acknowledge. I see a couple of comments every now and then say, "Ooh, Ben, your house is nice." Listen, it's framed. It's framed, right? And the reason I say this is because a lot of like, well, Ben, you're talking this socialism, class warfare stuff, but you look like you're living big. Even if I was, one, so what? But two, we need as many class traders as we possibly can get. You know, Mark Ruffalo, we need as many people who can, whatever amount of money they ever start to make in their lifetime, can always hold true to the truth that there has always been class warfare in this country. It's just been the rich waging it on the poor. And again, I know I didn't have to say that, but I just want to point that out, right? The straw man that anyone who is wealthy or can frame a picture to look like they're doing good shouldn't say anything about this kind of conversation. Well, you just come to the wrong channel because you can kiss my ass. I'm going to talk about it no matter if I got $1 million in the bank or if my lights are off. And I've already filled one side of that equation. I've already proven one side of that equation. All right. Literally did this when my lights were off. I digress. Infinite Content. I don't lose my place. Not when I'm on it. He don't miss, ladies and gentlemen. He don't miss. I'm so stupid, y'all. I am not remotely tipsy. I'm dumb as hell. The lessons that they haven't learned, because we have, we read about it all the time. We try to warn them all the time, is that you can't build a society that exploits billions of people at the bottom for the benefit, hell, not even billions. Let's take it down to the size of a kingdom, right? You can't have a society that exploits tens of thousands of people at the bottom to the benefit of a handful of people at the top and expect that to end well. Sure, you could suppress it for a very long time. And that's the other side of the equation, right? Of how they control us. On the one side, they control us because they've got us thinking that one day we're going to be them. They have everybody thinking that they're going to be a billionaire, billionaire mindset. All of our churches are talking about, building your empire, and everybody wants to build an empire. Every hip hop artist that, God bless them, they think they're going to be the next big billionaire and they're going to build their empire, their clothing line. Everybody thinks they're going to be rich. And that's one of the number one ways that they control us. No, that is the number one way that they control us. The second way they control us is if a couple of us get out of line, they're more than happy to send out the Gestapo to crush us. And they can do that for a period of time. They can continue to crush us for a period of time. But eventually, they're going to find the Achilles heel of any system and bring that system to its knees. And sometimes when that system is brought to its knees, it isn't immediately replaced by another system for progress to continue. Sometimes the barbarians at the gate destroy an entire empire that leaves us in the dark ages for hundreds of years. You would think that the ruling elite would have learned their lesson. And the lesson is this: we have to, at some point in the course of human history, turn this pyramid upside down, where the masses have enough, and the masses are afforded an opportunity to explore their greatness. Whereas in every period in the past, it's been, you see how I flipped that triangle, right? The pyramid is flipped. The masses need to have that opportunity. But in the past, it was a small subset of rulers who were able to explore their greatness. And again, if you think about this from a collective perspective, you would understand the unbelievable opportunity that this presents humanity to now have the collective contributions of everyone who gets to live above subsistence living. Can you imagine? Let's pause. Let's have an interactive session here. How many people we got left? Still got 900 people. Dope. What would you do? I actually want you to pause and think. Some of you already know the answer at the top of your head. What would you do if you were not struggling? Like, I don't want you to tell me tell me whatever you want to tell me. I don't really know. Honestly, just whatever comes to your mind. But I'm looking for answers that are along the line of what is your hope for humanity that you would explore if you were not strangled by this sadistic rat race that we call the American dream? Write it in the comment section. I'm going to put some on the screen. What would you do if you weren't struggling? I like this. I'm going to start with this while everyone thinks about it. It might take you a second. I like what Amy Durr said. The American dream is not reality anymore. Jamil said he's never thought that. Volvatron said he has no hope. Well, my friend, keep hanging out here. We're here. Just some general well wishes, peace, love, and prosperity to all. See, this is the bull. Okay, while you guys think, watch this. Look at this. There's a slight flaw with the theory. Most people do not have the discipline of a Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. Russ, I'm going to say this because you said it politely, so I'm going to be polite in my reply. That's simply not true. And there's no empirical evidence to prove that. That's just a general statement that we have been taught. We've been taught that these people have a certain level of discipline that defies the imagination. I will say that there are people who work harder than others, but every situation is entirely different. And even if it is, actually, I'm going to use myself. I'm going to use myself because I know myself better than I know anybody else. I literally do work harder than probably most people, period. There's never been a part of my life where I haven't worked 3 jobs. Now, everything I'm getting ready to tell you, I want you to dismiss it. I don't want you to accept it as something that you should do. Okay? Because why would we build? I'm not even going to go through the whole dramatization of it, whatever. Through the dramatics. That's what I'm looking for. The bottom line is, why would we build a system that's dependent on people having an insane amount of work, like working 90 hours a week and slaving away and getting unimaginably lucky and having an unimaginable access to resources and, oh, by the way, unimaginably talented. Why would we create a system that required everyone to have all of those pieces of the puzzle together at the same time in order to thrive. In other words, why would we develop a system that is dependent on unimaginable odds when that's simply a choice that we're making? There's literally no reason why we have to have a system where a person has to hit the lottery in terms of odds in order to break out of poverty. That literally why would we make a system based on the exceptions and not the rule? Therein lies a problem. Our system is completely inverted. We've designed a system to be built off of, or rather we have built our system off of the so-called exception. I reject the notion that they are exceptional, but even if we do accept that, which I reject again, but if you do accept it, why would we design a system based off the exception and not the rule? When if we design a system based off the rule, the average, fine, they're average, we're average. If we build a system based off the average, we would generate more. We would generate more wealth. We would generate more technology. We would generate more innovations, more achievements. The innovations that we're getting now is iPhone 12, bro. iPhone 12s XL, double wide, double space. That's what we're getting. Those are the innovations that we're getting. You tell me that's the best humanity can do. And our new toys, our new widgets, our new games, our new video games and all that, that's worth a society that exploits 7 billion for the benefit of like 1,000? When if we inverted that and created a system based off the norm instead of the exception, then we would get far more results. Now, I want to see what people are saying. One thing I noticed in the comments, a lot of people haven't even had a chance to think about it. My question to the audience was, what would you do if you had your basic needs met? And I wanted two types of answers. One, whatever came to your mind first. A lot of people said travel. The second thing I wanted to ask is like, what would you do if you think about humanity and advancing humanity? What would you do if all you had to do was sit around and think about that all day? And the truth is, most of us have never been afforded the luxury, the unbelievable luxury of sitting around and thinking great thoughts. We've been too busy just trying to survive. And therein lies the problem with our entire society. Now, I think I can finally get to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Finally. Let me pull this motherfucker on the screen. I'm so stupid, y'all. You learn about this in middle school. Physiological needs at the bottom: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. We got to get that reproduction in there. Safety needs: personal, security, employment, resources, health, property. I really lump those first two together. Safety needs and physiological needs, those are critical. Love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. All these are critical. You can't really move to the next level without having the previous level. Esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. We are human creatures after all, right? The idea that we don't need that green row is a lie. We need respect. We need self-esteem. We need status. We need recognition. We need strength. That's the ego. We need freedom. We need those things. And then actual self-actualization to become the most that one can be. Let me see if I can make this smaller so I can talk with this on the screen. Hang on. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Look at that. I'm going to do an old school news broadcaster over the shoulder. Hang on. Where do I go? I go over here. There we go. Anyway. The vast majority of society is stuck. You can't see my mouse, can you? God damn it, you can't see my mouse. Anyway, you know what I'm pointing to. The vast majority of our society is stuck in physiological needs. Just to get food, just to get water, just to have shelter. Where am I going to sleep tonight? Clothing and reproduction. Now, Reproduction is a whole nother conversation, like where, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about tonight. Because there's some people, never mind, I'm about to clown a whole group of incels, but I'm not. That's not what this is about tonight. This is not about me attacking those. Anyway, the vast majority of society is stuck at physiological needs, safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property. Most of society is stuck at the bottom of this. Love and belonging. What's interesting about this is that most of us in any level of this, we try our best to still find some love and belonging, family, right? A sense of connection. In fact, this got to go. I got to move this down here. How about over here? Is that okay? Yeah. God damn it, this is awkward. Hey, producers, when you guys edit, cut all this meandering out. Okay, thank you. Most of us are stuck at the bottom of this pyramid. And while we can find love and belonging all up and down this pyramid, like the most obvious implication of this is that if the majority of our society is stuck trying to find employment, trying to find resources, trying to figure out how they're going to get their health taken care of, have absolutely no property, right? And then another half of our society is still struggling just for food and shelter, then how many of us are ever going to achieve self-actualization? How many of us are ever going to ascend? And if it is the case, like the individual said, I forgot his name, and I think he had like a maple leaf as an AVI rather. If it is the case that you have to be special just to overcome the overwhelming gravity of all these things at the bottom, and that gravity is like what pulls us down, those are choices in our society. I want to make sure I'm clear about this. I know we're in the weeds, but you've been with me this long, so we might as well finish it, right? These are policy choices. The fact that anybody is without water, that anybody is without food, that anyone is without shelter, that anyone is without clothing. I can't help you with reproduction, but the fact that anyone is without those things, that's a policy decision in a country that generates so many trillions of dollars in wealth, okay? So the gravity and the weight that is pulling people from the top, or the possibility of ever achieving the top, and it's constantly pulling us down, right? Like it's collapsing inside of a black hole. The weight of that gravity is so heavy that you can't escape. You can't worry about goddamn self-actualization when you ain't got no food. Hell, I couldn't worry about exercising when I couldn't pay my rent. When I was worried about how to pay my bills, I couldn't go out and go to the gym and it just wasn't, I just couldn't do it. So there's certain things that you simply cannot accomplish if you're stuck down here trying to worry about and figure out how you're going to pay your rent. Most of society is stuck down here. And they being the ruling elite, want us to celebrate the people who have made it to the top. But the reality of it is the only reason they made it to the top is because they had all this stuff worked out before they even left their parents' house. They had all these things worked out before they ever graduated high school. They had all these things worked out long before they graduated college. Matter of fact, they didn't even have to go to college. Finger going the wrong way. Which finger? Anyway, you know where I'm pointing to. How the hell did I turn my finger around and get it? Hell, fuck. The point is this, is that we have a civilization that is built off of billions of people who are all struggling at the bottom of this hierarchy. We have a handful of people who have never had to worry about any of these things. And the only thing they've ever had to worry about is self-actualization. What is my contribution to humanity? Well, I think humanity would be pleasantly surprised and unbelievably rewarded if they gave everybody a chance to ask that question? What is my contribution to society? What is my contribution to humanity? That's a policy decision at this point. The reason I'm talking about this, everything is political. There is literally, let me get this off the screen so I can use my hands. There's absolutely no reason that we cannot make sure that every single person in this country has a place to eat, food, a place to live, food to eat, clothes on their back, a doctor, and a living wage, an income. I feel like I left some, an education. We generate enough wealth. While you are on that hamster wheel running in circles, you're generating that wealth. While you're watching this video, you're generating wealth. Not for me, except for the super chats, which, by the way, I apologize I didn't get to you tonight because I don't have my phone to go, and I know my producers are yelling, and they're probably, I don't even know where my phone is. It's probably dead. It was on 1%. So I'll get to the super chats tomorrow. But outside of that, I'm the king of like tangents, by the way. I'll have a whole conversation in the sidebar and then come right back to the point. Besides me getting super chat, us being here, the 900 people who are here, and the 10, I don't know, 100, 200, 300, 400,000, millions of people who are watching streams right now, just the mere fact that you're watching a stream is generating money for these tech companies. So I don't care if you never work another day in your life. You watching content online, exchanging your data, you're giving away your data. That is one of the most valuable assets that anybody has. In fact, you should be paid. Social media companies need to pay their users because the only way social media companies make money is off of your data. So your participation alone generates wealth. Oh, by the way, you work. So your labor is generating wealth. Oh, by the way, we are some consuming ass people, Pam, people, not the N-word. We're some consuming ass people. This economy is 75% consumer. So they're making money off of your participation. They're making money off of your labor. They're making money off of your consumption. Oh, don't forget your taxes, state, local, federal. Whether you pay income or not, you're paying local taxes, sales taxes. You're paying these fines and tickets that you get. That's just another form of taxes. So they're making money off of you at every single turn. And we generate enough wealth with everything that you do to ensure that every person in this country, basically on the face of this planet, can have a place to stay, can have food to eat, can have an education through college, can have a doctor, and can have a wage. We literally make enough wealth to do all that. And oh, by the way, we can still have billionaires. And I'm not saying that because I give a shit about billionaires, because the other option for them is not really one that history has ever boded well for. You guys are morons. You really think you're going to get away with this for much longer? I'm sorry. Do they really think? Maybe they get away with it for their lifetime. But like Infinite Content said, one of the users from YouTube, the cycles of history are true. It's inevitable. It will inevitably come unless we change what we're doing. And what we've done throughout history, it has always been the pyramid scheme, where a select few at the top are given the opportunity to explore the greatness of their own mind, the greatness of their own sentience, the greatness of their own ideas, as they plunder and pilfer and destroy and cause chaos and destruction and spread disease and plague and colonization and murder and rape and all the other shit that they do to get their wealth and to maintain their wealth, which inevitably leads to revolution. So maybe, just maybe, we can look at history and say this inverted pyramid scheme, or rather this pyramid scheme, needs to be inverted. And instead of a society that only benefits a few, well, since we create enough wealth where everyone can benefit, why not create a society where everyone can have enough instead of having a society of haves and have-nots. Anyway, that's just the kind of shit that I think about before I go watch Star Trek and, you know, something Nova on PBS and, you know, the colliding black holes and LIGO and that kind of stuff. So now I'm going to go watch, actually I'm into Lucifer now. I never really wanted to get into that show because I was like, ooh, that's the devil. It's actually a really good show that explores the redemption arc. So far, it seems like it's a redemption arc. Now, don't spoil it. Do not spoil it for me. But right now, it looks like a redemption arc of the devil. That's a fascinating concept. So right now, I'm watching that, and I'm going to go watch Star Trek Discovery. But anyway, that's all I got. Let me see what y'all are saying. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's LIGO, right? Is it the, it's been a minute. Yeah, Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. I'm all about that shit, right? Where they detect gravitational waves that have been traveling through the universe at the speed of light for billions of years, and they got the technology in the United States at 2 stations at separate parts, and the technology is so sensitive. I don't even really have a good way of describing how sensitive it is, but the point is that it was like a lightning being caught in the bottle. Actually, odds were worse than that. That at the exact moment they happened to cut it on by mistake, they were able to capture a gravitational wave that had been traveling through the universe for billions of years. I'm about that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go watch that as soon as we're done here. What y'all talking about in the chat room? Blackberry Rabbit said, I'm literally just playing music in my basement studio and listening to Dixon Daily. I don't really do TV other than news. I feel that. Winners and losers. That's exactly what I could have said. It's so sensitive, it can detect gravitational waves. That's exactly it. That is specifically the Society of Star Trek. Super chat from Philip Perez says, watch Lovecraft Country. I keep hearing about it and I haven't done it yet. Listen, guys, let me tell you the reason I don't take myself seriously. I know I got some chops, I got some skills, and I'm good at what I do. But I have these blank spots that I am oblivious. I have blank spots in my thinking where I'm just completely so tuned out that you would be like, bruh, is your brain even working right now? So because of that, and because that comes out every now and then, I just say, you know what, fuck it. Do not take yourself too seriously, because otherwise you're going to be embarrassed a whole lot. So I just joke about my own idiocy from time to time. Yes, I am a nerd. I am a nerd. Detective. It really is. And it's the British accent. Also, by the way, Doctor Who. I mean, obviously, it's funny. Our science fiction really captures the greatest hopes. It captures the necessary hopes of humanity, right? It's like the reason we're into science fiction because it's not even about the science, obviously, because the science, we have no idea how the science of the future is actually going to pan out. I mean, I guess we do have some idea, like we're working on it, but we have no idea how any of this stuff is going to be in like 300 years. But what we dwell on when we watch these things, like when we watch Doctor Who and we watch Star Trek and we watch whatever science fiction we're watching, what we're really thinking about is, wow, what kind of society do we have to get there? Right? Constantly. It's like Star Trek is cool, but what most of us are constantly thinking while we're watching Star Trek is the very goddamn thing that they don't ever answer. They don't ever tell us how to get there except for through a nuclear Armageddon, and that we barely survive. And then voila, we're awakened. We're woke society at that point. I'm hoping that we don't have to go through that. But as we're watching all of these glorious sci-fi movies that are quasi-utopian, we're wondering, wow, what does mankind have to do to actually get there? I don't think I have the answer any more than anyone else. But I know one thing that we have to do to not destroy ourselves is to stop organizing civilization where we reward a handful of people at the top at the expense of everyone at the base of the pyramid. Because as history has shown us, that never ends well for anybody. And with that, I'm going to say, it's an hour and 30 exactly. I'm going to say good night. And The Expanse is good. Doctor Who. In Star Trek, everyone is self-actualized. I agree. Well, why would I run off so early? There's no reason for me to run off. You guys have some great comments. So let me spend the next few minutes just reading your comments. It's 2020 and we still don't have flying cars or personal spacecrafts. Disappointing. That's because we went through the 80s. The reason we don't have shit in 2020 is because we went through the 80s where everyone was like, greed is good. Greed is good. No, greed is evil. Individualism is evil. It will destroy us. Reject greed, reject individualism. Anyway, you've heard me for the last hour and a half. Let me talk to you. Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Star Wars, for sure. I like this. Lee Clow said, the aliens from Independence Day were space white people colonizing as colonizers. Adrian Levixen Noir said, socialism is a good place to start. I love Guy Shaw said, Dr. World Health Organization. Funny enough, the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, played a doctor from the World Health Organization in World War Z, the movie with Brad Pitt, the zombie movie with Brad Pitt. So the Doctor Who would become the British actor who played the movie Doctor Who had a cameo appearance as a World Health Organization doctor, a WHO doctor. Anyway, it's so meta. I shouldn't even brought that shit up. Yes, guys, I am the epitome of a nerd. Yeah, of course. I mean, CT Dennis, we got to fix climate change, or all this is academic, right? All this is, just for waste. Pam said, thank you. Pam is my N-word detector. She always knows when I'm getting ready to slip up and say the N-word, because it is in my normal vernacular. I think he's talking about our shows. Peter Gonzalez Jr. said, these science fiction shows, they show us that no matter how rough things are now, that it will get better someday. And I'm going to be honest with you, folks, all of our politics are meaningless unless they're pushing us towards the future. If our politics are not intentionally pushing us towards the future, what the fuck are we doing? What is it? What's the point? What's the point? Let me tell you something. If all I had to worry about was my lifespan and nothing more, I would not spend a single day worried about politics. I would not give a shit about anything that happened. I would just live my life at the height of individualism, right? But we have something more to worry about. We're not mayflies, right? We have the capacity to see beyond our own existence. And we have the capacity to empathize beyond our own existence. One of the reasons we have that capacity is because we have children, and it makes it a little more realistic for us to see a future and be concerned about a future even if we're not here, right? It's the greatest act of empathy, I think, is to be able to be concerned about something that you won't even be here for. And so since we are those empathetic, empathic creatures, I feel as though everything we do should be pointing in that direction and not this miserably myopic mess that we call American politics. But we got to get rid of Donald Trump. So I got to post videos saying somebody slams Trump or Fox News slams Trump. And everybody loves those videos and clicks on those videos. And wow, holy shit, I never knew people made this kind of money on YouTube with these clickbait ass videos. Anyway, I digress. One day, I'm going to be able to generate enough revenue to build a media company just doing this shit here so that I don't have to sell a little piece of my soul every time I put one of them clickbait ass videos out. Repeating history. That's where we're at. Yeah. Yeah. Dito Spinola, like, you're right. Because that empathy was there. He said, even if you don't have kids, yes, empathy and ability to love yourself. You're right. Because I had that empathy before I even had kids. It's just the fact, it's the mere fact of having empathy, right? Empathy doesn't mean you don't get empathy all of a sudden because you have kids. Thank you for saying that. Because that narrows it down too much. If you are an empathetic person, you have the ability to care about a time that you're no longer here. If all we're going to do is this stupid ass politics that Washington, D.C. does, then man, I'm about to go back to the clubs. And I mean, my wife going to beat my ass, but still, like why, if we're not going to be concerned about climate change and we're just going to it's like an asteroid coming and we're not going to even make an attempt to do anything to stop it, then fuck it. Why are we arguing? Why is anyone on TV talking? No, everybody meet me at the club. Let's turn up. I'm buying out the bar. Buy out the bar. I'm not going to pay the bill. We're all dead. If we're not planning for the future, what the hell are we doing? We need to be out somewhere partying. What is wrong with Washington, D.C.? Do they know something that we don't? Do they know? I think their behavior pattern suggests, our politicians' behavior pattern suggests that there is an asteroid coming that we don't know about. And they're really just wasting time trying to keep us distracted from us not all just going out and just living our life and just burning shit down and just having one big, unbelievable party and orgy or whatever, you want to do before the end of time. But that's the only way that really makes sense for us to have these horribly inept and corrupt and just irresponsible people in Washington, D.C. who can see an impending crisis that we can avoid, named climate change. And these motherfuckers are out here playing games. What are you doing? Tell me that there's an asteroid coming so me and my kids, we could pack up and we can all go over to her parents' house and get all of our family there, and we're all there. We enjoy each other's time. I'm going to sneak out and I'm going to go to the club and we're going to party. I'm about the bar. We're going to party there, and I'm going to get back home in time to make sure that I'm there with them to watch the asteroid come home. Come home. Wow, that's weird. I guess it's no weirder than me sneaking out and going to a party at the end of the world. But I'm just telling you who I am. I need y'all to know who I am so that if I ever get caught up, I want everybody to know right now that if you ever see some news about Ben Dixon being caught up somewhere with, like a scene out of, I already warned you. Don't cancel your Patreon then. I'm telling you now. All right. So anyway, I digress. We got some assholes in Washington, D.C. who are living as if they know that the end is coming inevitably. And so they're so grossly irresponsible with every decision that they make, or more precisely, with the decisions they're not making, that otherwise, if we actually have a chance to survive, and this is the level of leadership that we have, then we're not going to have to wait for an economic-based revolution. We need to act now before it's too late. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway. I'm keeping it 100, y'all. I'm like, I don't need nobody to be like, ooh, I thought Ben was X, Y. Nope, Ben is a work in progress, and sometimes I work better than other times. Just read the rest of y'all comments. What are these people in Washington going to do when their shit really hits the fan full on? That's a good question. Pamela says she thinks about that. Right? I mean, Whiskey Eye, what are we arguing for? If there's no hope for humanity and these people in Washington, D.C. know it, because that's how they're behaving, then y'all just tell us. And we're going to party. We're going to party like it's the end of the world. We're going to party like it's the end of the world. We're going to have a great time. But I said this last Saturday. Man, damn, it's probably, I know it's after midnight. No, it's not midnight yet. I said this last Saturday. We got to live. We have to live and engage in our politics with enough respect for what humanity really is as far as we know. Carl Sagan said that humans, that we are a way for the universe to know itself. My take on that is, what if we are the only chance for the universe? As far as we know, we are the only chance for the universe to know itself. Don't we? I mean, we literally do not know if there's anybody else out there. We hope, we assume, the odds are there are, but we don't know. So as far as we know, we are the universe's only opportunity to know what happened here. That means something to me. I know some people hear it and be like, the fuck you talking about, bro? What I'm saying is, we need a level of politics that honors the fact that it's a possibility that humanity would be the only observers of this universe. Because as far as we know, we may very well be the only people who can record the magnificence of what happened in this universe. Do you realize that what's happening on this earth isn't even a fraction? It's like a drop of sand. What's happening on Earth is like a drop of sand trying to be traced throughout the entirety of our galaxy in comparison to what's happening in the universe. And as far as we know, like the grandeur, the magnificence. I hate to always come back to this. I guess it's only the second time I've ever talked about it on the show. But if you just pause and think of the magnificence of everything that's happening around us, we haven't even mastered Earth yet. Earth alone is magnificent and deserves our attention and our care and our politics to be such that it preserves the earth. But if you ever look outside of our planet and look beyond it, we have a responsibility to record because what if all this happened? What if this all began and ended? All of the galaxies, all of the stars, all of the colliding black holes, all of the supermassive black holes at the centers of galaxies, all of the novas and the supernovae and all of the just unbelievable beauty and unimaginable destruction that is happening at every second across this universe. And just imagine there was nobody there to observe it. What a fucking waste of a magnificent universe. And here we are on Earth living as though, that shit don't matter. I got to hit this quarterly profit margin, my dude. We out here, we're out here living as if that's not up there. And the only thing that matters is I can get a second yacht, a third yacht, a fifth mansion. It's because we created a system based on that hierarchy where the elite at the top benefit off everybody at the bottom. And all we care about is greed and individualism. And it's the very thing that would destroy us. So what are y'all saying? Let me see what y'all are saying. I'm running my mouth again. We're wasting our opportunity. Thank you, Adrian. We're wasting our chance. Every bit of our politics should 100% be focused on not only mastering and caring for Earth, but understanding and caring for everything that's going on outside of the Earth. We're just wasting so much time. KT Chong in the house. This was going to be another observation, but I kept running my mouth. Let me put it back up because I'm going to run out of time. There is no self-actualization at the top because all of those greedy, selfish billionaires and oligarchs aren't self-actualized. They are wasting their opportunity to actually do something great. Making $1 billion does not make you great. And I'm not saying that in some old philosophical / quasi Buddhist, quasi Christian new world bullshit stuff. Anyway, I'm saying that because it's simply true. $1 billion does not make you great, right? We'll forget every billionaire after they're dead and gone. We're going to forget them. It is your contribution to society that really distinguishes you and makes you great. What did you leave us? iPhone 26? Nobody gives a shit about iPhone 26. What'd you leave us? Same day delivery? Yeah, I kind of like same day delivery. But ultimately, in the grand scheme of the earth and the universe, nobody gives a shit about same day delivery. They're not self-actualized. They're self-aggrandizing. Thank you, KT Chong. Yes, I did say new wave, and that's why I don't take myself seriously. Yes, welcome to all the new subscribers. Again, this is not a normal episode because I don't have my phone and I'm not logged into Slack and I don't have my producers. I'm sure they've blown my phone up. But everyone who's subscribed on Twitch, thank you. Everyone who subscribed to the YouTube channel, thank you. Everyone did a super chat, thank you. My producers probably have it all cataloged and it will be there for me if we do a stream tomorrow night or Sunday night or Monday night. Whenever the next time we do it, I will recognize each of you name by name by name. No, we need to actively make change, not wait for it. Agreed. We can't leave the future in the hands of Elon Musk. We can't. Because this is a great question, Hottie Meter. We can't leave the future. See, this is what Elon Musk did with no due respect. Elon Musk made his fortune off of government dollars, his family's wealth, and the dreams and hopes of a bunch of people who have their eyes and their hearts pointed towards the stars, much like me. People believe in Elon Musk as a futurist. And he has twisted and manipulated and perverted and betrayed that trust by espousing political dogma that literally would lead to us destroying ourselves before we even get the first foot beyond our moon. He's monetized our hope in the future. Elon Musk has monetized futurism. And we got to strip the future away from him. We got to get all those people who have a hope for the future, who are not right now being fed the poison of red pill conservatism and Western civilization, which we're not getting to the future with Western civilization thought. I'm sorry. We could take tenets of it. We could take pieces of it. There's some principles in it. Of course, there's some philosophies in it. But the mindset that what made Western civilization great and the way they order society is what we need to replicate in 2020 and beyond is absolutely fucking absurd. We got to rescue the future from people like Elon Musk and people who build their hopes and their ideations about the future around him and these twisted philosophies that are going to cause us to implode before we get 1 foot beyond our own moon. What's going on, Nicholas? Yeah. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I know. We have no idols. Please, just do me that favor. Make no one your idol. Because once they become your idol, you can never see their wrong. No man. Let no man, no woman, no gender conforming individual be your idol. Because, I mean, the proof is in the pudding about Elon. I was just as much a fan of Elon as anybody. Because I spend my nights dreaming about how we can get the fuck, excuse me, where's all these F-bombs coming from? How we can get to the future. So of course, when I was like Elon Musk, he's going to take us there. You dig into it and you look at the truth of what he's doing and the ideologies that he's espousing. I mean, follow the money. Look at the money. Look where his money come from. Anyway, I'll leave that alone. No, I don't like him. I don't like that dude no more. Sorry. Greed and popularity can be. I think greed and popularity are really. They both give you the same kind of sensation. Popularity is a hell of a drug. Oh my God. Popularity is. Yeah. I mean, come on. Like, if we get to the specifics, I don't want to make this an Elon bashing segment, but the future we won't make it to the future committing crimes against humanity. We will not make it to the future destroying people's lives in exchange for profit. We won't get to the future doing that. It is the cycles through history tell us that we will inevitably destroy this civilization. And what the hell is going to come? Our greed and our corruption and our military coups in exchange for money and profit, for resources, right? For ore, for minerals, in order to get our tech gadgets. Our greed and our endless pursuit for profit will destroy us. I mean, shit, we're barely surviving Donald Trump. What do you think our greed is going to do to us in the long run? So I think it's an inherent contradiction to believe that you are a futurist hanging on to a system that has regularly destroyed itself throughout the cycles of world history. Question: If you know this, they know this, so why do you think they persist? One of two things. I think they, being the people who benefit from and continue to preserve and conserve this power structure, that group of people, I think it's very possible that they have zero empathy beyond what their immediate goal is. I think sometimes we take so much time reflecting that we think other people are self-reflective in that same way. And the truth is they're not. Everybody isn't. Some people's bottom line is simply the bottom line. So of course there are going to be people who are willing to destroy anything in order to get their immediate goals, no matter how much their immediate goals destroy them in the long run. Or maybe not them, their children, or then their children's children, but then they didn't even care too much for their own children. So I don't think we should. It's one of those things I don't think we should really think too hard on it and sort of accept the reality that there are people on this planet who are as unreflective as we are reflective. This doesn't make them inherently bad, doesn't make us inherently good, but it does help us understand that we can't waste a lot of time worrying about their motivations, because while we're worried about their motivations, they are working through their machinations to obtain power, both political and economically, to be wielded against us in order to preserve their quarterly profit margin. So yeah, like, I think it's worthwhile asking the question, but I don't think we need to waste a lot of time worrying about it and just kind of accept that there are people who are as malevolent as we are empathetic. All right, folks, it is just before midnight. We can pick this up tomorrow. Let's see what happens tomorrow night. Come hang out with me tomorrow night. We'll talk more about stuff that's not political, but obviously it is political, because everything I talked about tonight, even though it's not directly political, it's obviously political. Talk to y'all later.